Have you ever found yourself obsessing over a specific woman, chasing after her attention, only to end up frustrated and unfulfilled? It's something many of us go through, investing time and energy into someone who might not be on the same page. There's a popular saying, don't chase people. Be yourself, and the right people will find you. This wisdom rings especially true when it comes to relationships. In today's video, we're talking about why you should stop chasing that one woman and instead focus on something far more important, yourself. We'll explore how shifting your focus can transform your dating life and attract the right person who truly values you. If you're tired of playing games and want to approach relationships from a position of strength, make sure to watch until the end. Trust me, you won't want to miss the insights we'll cover that could change your approach forever. Here's the thing about chasing women, it almost never works. And if it does, it's usually not in the way you want it to. Trust me, I've been there. I've felt the weight of trying to make someone see me as worthy, grasping at whatever I thought would catch her attention. But here's the hard truth, when you're out there actively pursuing someone, you're not really giving her the space to choose. It's a little like trying to force a flower to bloom before it's ready. Nature doesn't work like that, and neither does attraction. Instead of chasing, let her come to you through attraction. And no, this doesn't mean playing games or acting like you don't care. It's deeper than that. It's about standing in your own worth, being secure in who you are, and letting that natural confidence radiate. When you're genuinely comfortable with yourself, your energy shifts. You stop feeling desperate or needy. And that's when things get interesting. Think about it, women aren't attracted to desperation. They're not drawn to someone who needs validation from them, someone who's constantly chasing after approval. The truth is, women, like all of us, are wired to connect with individuals who show strength, independence, and authenticity. It's not about impressing them, it's about being someone who is genuinely interesting on their own. This might sound harsh at first, but if you're always chasing, you're essentially telling her that you're not okay unless she acknowledges you. That kind of energy repels, even when you don't mean for it to. Here's where it gets real, the magic happens when you stop forcing things. You start focusing on your own growth, your own goals, and your own sense of fulfillment. When you're doing the things that make you come alive, whether it's working on your business, improving your fitness, or chasing your dreams, your energy changes. You become less worried about where she is or whether she's thinking about you. And ironically, that's when she starts noticing you. Not because you're chasing her, but because you've become the kind of person who's magnetic without even trying. You don't need to chase. The right woman will be attracted to the man who is already moving in the direction of his own life. It's not about waiting around for someone to come into your world, it's about creating a life that naturally attracts the right people, women included. So, stop chasing. Be the man who lives in his own power, and watch her come to you. You know, there's a tendency to get fixated on one person, whether it's a specific woman, or just the idea of her. We've all been there, right? You get so caught up in the idea of her, thinking that if you just get her, everything will fall into place. But here's the thing, life isn't about chasing down one person and holding onto them for dear life. It's about building connections. And not just with her, but with other women, too. When you expand your social circle, you start seeing things differently. You realize that your world doesn't have to revolve around one individual, and that's when you unlock the real magic. Look, I get it. It's easy to get obsessed with one person. It feels like everything is about her, how she smiles, how she laughs, how she moves through the world. But when you focus all your energy on just her, you're limiting yourself. I've made that mistake before. I thought that if I could just get the attention of this one woman, somehow I'd be validated. But here's the kicker, by focusing only on her, I shut myself off from all the other incredible women I could meet, learn from, and connect with. Building connections with other women is about so much more than dating or trying to impress anyone. It's about enriching your life. Every woman brings something different to the table. Whether it's a new perspective, a shared experience, or just a good laugh, expanding your social circle creates opportunities for you to grow as a person. And here's the ironic part: the more you focus on building genuine relationships with other women, the less you obsess over one particular person. You learn to appreciate the diversity of connections you can have. Think about it. When you're out meeting new people, you're shifting your focus from scarcity to abundance. You're no longer locked into the idea that there's only one woman who can make your life complete. Instead, you start realizing that the world is full of interesting, beautiful, and intelligent women who you can connect with on all kinds of levels. And that kind of energy, one that's rooted in abundance and connection, becomes magnetic. Building your social circle doesn't just help you meet more women. It helps you become the kind of person who's already living a full and interesting life. It frees you from the pressure of trying to win over one person's attention. And in that freedom, you start attracting more authentic, meaningful relationships, whether they're friendships, romantic connections, or something in between. So, start reaching out. Broaden your horizons. Because the right person isn't someone you need to chase, there's someone who will recognize your value in a world where you're already busy living your best life. Here's something I've come to realize the hard way: when you're chasing someone, you're neglecting the most important relationship of all, the one you have with yourself. We live in this culture that glorifies romantic connections, where we're led to believe that being with the right person will somehow complete us. But I'm here to tell you something different. Your life begins with you. I know. It sounds cliché, maybe even a little too motivational speaker-ish. But let me break it down. Years ago, I found myself stuck in this constant cycle of I need to impress her. I need to make her notice me. The problem? I was completely neglecting my own growth in the process. I was living for someone else's validation, forgetting that my own life, my own development, should be my primary focus. Personal growth is a game changer, not just in relationships, but in every area of life. It's about waking up every day with a sense of purpose and direction. What do you want to accomplish? What kind of man do you want to become? I realized that if I was constantly chasing someone else's approval, I was essentially telling myself that I wasn't enough as I was. I needed someone else to complete me, to give my life meaning. But that's a trap. So, I made a choice to focus on my growth. I started investing in myself, not for anyone else, but for me. I got serious about my goals, whether it was my career, my fitness, or my mental health. I found joy in small wins, like finishing a book I'd been meaning to read or hitting a new personal best at the gym. It wasn't about impressing anyone. It was about becoming the best version of myself. And here's where it gets interesting: as I focused on my own goals, something incredible happened. The more I grew, the more I attracted people into my life, not just romantically, but on a deeper level. When you're living with purpose, when you're working towards something bigger than just getting a girl, people start to notice. And it's not because you're trying to be impressive. It's because you're authentic. You're genuinely invested in your own life, and that energy is magnetic. Here's the key: when you make your own growth a priority, you stop needing validation from anyone else. You stop chasing. And when you stop chasing, that's when the right people, romantic partners included, start to show up. You attract them because you've become the person who doesn't need anyone else to define him. You're already whole, already moving forward. So, ask yourself, are you chasing someone because you're insecure, or are you so focused on your own goals that the idea of chasing feels irrelevant? Focus on you. Build yourself. And watch how everything, including relationships, begins to fall into place. Here's the thing about independence and self-worth: they're not just buzzwords or something to say when you're feeling motivational. They're the foundation of a life that's not driven by external validation, especially when it comes to relationships. And, man, I wish someone had told me this years ago, you don't need anyone else to make you feel valuable. I spent way too much time tying my worth to the attention I received from women. I thought that if I could just get her to like me, then I'd finally be enough. But guess what? That's a never-ending loop of misery and self-doubt. When you're always chasing someone, you're basically telling yourself, I'm not good enough as I am. You're saying that the only way you can feel worthy is through someone else's approval. But here's the truth, your value comes from within. It comes from being you without needing anyone to validate that. I'll admit, I've been there. There were times I'd go to great lengths to win someone over, thinking if I just did the right thing, said the right words, or acted in the right way, I'd get that approval. But every time I did that, I only chipped away at my own sense of self. It wasn't until I started focusing on building my own sense of independence, my career, my hobbies, my own goals, that I began to truly realize my worth. I became someone who was happy, not because someone else validated me, but because I was already proud of who I was. Self-worth is an inside job. It's about knowing, deep down, that you're a valuable person whether or not someone else sees it or not. It's about cultivating a life that you enjoy, one where you don't depend on anyone else's attention to feel good about yourself. The more I leaned into my independence, the less I felt the need to chase. And ironically, the less I chased, the more genuine connections I built. I was no longer coming from a place of need or desperation. I was coming from a place of strength and confidence. You know what happens when you start owning your own worth? You stop measuring your value against someone else's perception of you. You realize that you don't need to earn someone's affection. You're worthy of love, respect, and attention simply because you're you. I'll leave you with this: stop chasing after someone else to fill a void in your life. Instead, focus on becoming the person who fills that void for yourself. Build a life that makes you feel proud and content. When you do that, the right people will naturally gravitate toward you, because they'll be drawn to the energy of someone who knows their own worth and doesn't need anyone else to define it. Here's the truth that I wish someone had drilled into my head earlier: you don't need her attention to live a fulfilling life. I used to think that everything would magically fall into place if I could just get a woman's attention, get her to like me, or be enough for her. But here's the catch: when your happiness is tied to another person's attention, you're putting all your eggs in someone else's basket. And trust me, no one else is going to prioritize your happiness more than you do. It took me a long time to understand this. I've spent days, weeks, maybe even months obsessing over someone, putting my life on hold, thinking that if I could just make her notice me, then life would finally feel complete. But as I look back, I realize I was living in a constant state of waiting. I was waiting for her text, waiting for her approval, waiting for her to make me feel worthy. I wasn't living my own life. I was living for someone else's validation. That's when it hit me: this isn't the way to live. I had to learn to live a fulfilling life without needing her attention. It's not about ignoring your feelings or pretending that you don't care, but rather about shifting the focus back to yourself. Living a fulfilling life means focusing on what lights you up. What are you passionate about? What drives you? What makes you excited to wake up every day? For me, it meant pouring more energy into my work, my health, and my friendships. I started diving deeper into personal development, reading more books, learning new skills, and setting bigger goals. And here's the crazy part: when I stopped waiting around for someone else to make me feel whole, that's when life started becoming exciting again. I was no longer defined by someone else's attention, and I found joy in the journey of becoming the best version of myself. The beauty of this shift is that you start living on your own terms. You wake up knowing that your happiness isn't contingent on a single person. You stop measuring your self-worth based on whether she notices you today. You start to realize that your life is already full of purpose, and that purpose doesn't revolve around chasing after someone else. The more you focus on your own growth, your own happiness, and your own goals, the more magnetic you become. You're no longer coming from a place of need or desperation. You're coming from a place of abundance, where life is rich and fulfilling regardless of whether or not she's giving you attention. Remember, the right person will be drawn to your energy, not because you're chasing them, but because you've created a life that's already worth living. So, stop waiting for someone else to make your life feel fulfilling. Fill your own cup first, and watch how everything else falls into place. Thanks for tuning into today's video on why chasing a specific woman isn't the way forward, and what you should do instead. Remember, your worth isn't defined by anyone's attention. Focus on building your own growth and happiness. If you found this video valuable, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more relationship wisdom. Keep healing, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next video.